Welcome. Thanks for coming along to the information session for the 2021 Origin Apprentice and Trainee Intake. The reason that we're actually here, I suppose, is to provide you with that information, hence the name of it. But we wanted to start, I suppose, by doing the acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Manandangi people. And pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Also, we have some housekeeping stuff that we need to do at the start of these types of sessions. If anybody needs to go to the toilet, it's down the corridor here, around to the left-hand side, you'll find those facilities. And also, in case an alarm goes off and we have to exit the area, we've got an escape route out through the front here, but the designated meeting place is in the back car park. But obviously, if all of a sudden there's an explosion out that way, we don't go running through the explosion to get to the car park, okay? Very important. Now, schedule. This is what we'll be taking you through today. So, first of all, we've done the housekeeping. We're going to do some introductions of some of the people that are here today to talk to you. A little bit about who Golden West Apprenticeships are. A special section there on Origin about who they are, camp life, rosters, the opportunities that are available, the journey between putting in your application and being successful and commencing on site, how that all looks. So you've got a bit of a picture about that. How you go about applying for the opportunities that are available at the moment. And also we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So if there's things that we haven't covered today for you, that we can go through that stuff as well, okay? Now, because we're living in troubled times at the moment, we obviously need to have a talk about COVID-19. It's the reason why we've got a sign-in sheet there and the stations around here with the sanitizer. Now, if anybody fits into any of these categories, could you let us know? If you have recently returned from overseas within the last 14 days? No? If you've been in contact with a person confirmed to be sick with COVID-19? If you have a fever, coughing, runny nose, shortness of breath? None of those things? No one here has already been diagnosed with COVID-19? Great. Great. Well, we can all move on. So,
that was a relief.
I know. I didn't want to have to sort of say.
I was waiting for someone to go.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to ask somebody to leave the room.
No.
Okay, so let's come in. Next, introductions. Darren Smith, that's me. I'm a training project manager with Golden West Apprenticeships. It's a fancy title, but effectively means that I look after the recruitment function for our organisation. Other people who are here today who you may be speaking with or have presentations, Joel Bates, who is from Origin, Regional Recruiting and Sourcing Specialist. Joel, would you like to put up your hand? Yes? So you know who all these people are. Maxine Thomas, Origin Stakeholder Liaison and Workforce Development.
Hi everyone.
Her actual title was so long I couldn't fit it on a single slide.
Exactly.
Scott Martin here today. Scott, who is in the head of the mechanical teams. And we've got a couple of Origin apprentices, current apprentices as well, who are with us. David Cantwell and Abe Irwin. We also have Florence Martin, who is the site administrator, who will be talking to you later on. And I'm also ably assisted by my colleague here, Danica Campbell, who is a local recruitment officer for Golden West Apprenticeships. Now, before we get started with who we all are and what are the opportunities, does everybody know what an apprenticeship or a traineeship is? Is there anybody who doesn't know? No? Do you want me to give you the little brief? Basically, it's an opportunity to learn while you earn. You work on a work site and you learn from people who have finished a trade. All right, it's a great opportunity for a head start in life and to build a great career. That's the short story. All of the opportunities that we've got today in the apprenticeships and traineeships last 2 to 5 years, so you need to be able to recognise that you're going to have to apply yourself and commit to doing the right thing, learning and applying yourself in the workplace. Okay? Now, Golden West Apprenticeships. We're a local organisation. We've been in business for about 32 years. During that time, we've helped 3,500 people successfully complete apprenticeships and about 7,500 successfully complete apprenticeships and traineeships when you add it all together. We work as a group training organisation, and what that means is that we're an employer of apprentices. We've got about 180 apprentices who work for us at the moment in a really broad range of different industries. And employers choose to use us because we take care of all of the recruitment for them, we deal with all of the paperwork and the training providers, we pay the wages of our apprentices and trainees, and we visit in the workplace regularly to do mentoring visits to make sure that everything goes along smoothly. Okay? Now, I'm going to invite Maxine, if you'd like to come up and have a talk to everybody about Origin.
Certainly will. Morning, everyone. So I guess all of you guys here today, you're all very tech savvy, so you probably know that Origin Energy is a major supplier of energy to Australia. So we are Australia's leading energy retailer. We ensure a domestic gas supply. We've got a growing renewable supply, and we're powering Australia. But when Joel and I and Ainsley and all the Origin people go into work every day, we have a really strong sense of value. And our value is that we're going to get energy right for our customers, the community and the planet. So as a fifth generation Roma person, and a person who went to school here in Roma, taught here in Roma for 21 years, and then went to Santos and then came across to Origin, getting energy right for our community, our customers and our planet is a really important part of what we do every day. So you're going to go, well, that's a fair stretch. So getting energy right for our customers. So who's got a barbecue? Who's got a gas barbecue at home? You might have an Origin cylinder. So you're my customer, I work for you. So how am I going to get energy right for you? I'm going to make sure that you have a gas supply. I'm going to make sure that our price is competitive. I'm going to make sure that I let you know about all our goods and services that we've got. That's getting energy right for our customers. What about getting energy right for our community? Don't we get gas out of the ground? Don't we dig big holes in the ground and that's about all we do? Actually, no. We do a whole lot of stuff in community, and that's the part that I want to tell you about today, because if you're considering a career with this company, we have got multiple things that we do. We're very active in community. We've got a grants and donations program, a quarterly grants and donations program that people put in their applications, and we give money to community organisations across our footprint from $500 to $10,000, and that's every quarter. We've got partnerships with our Indigenous communities around town, with our schools. We do traineeships and apprenticeship sessions, just like we're doing here today. We've got another part of Origin, which is called the Origin Foundation. These are just everyday Origin people who come to work, but go over and above to just do something a little bit more for our communities, our customers and our planet. Example of that is during COVID-19, we've teamed up with Red Cross. And over the last 10 weeks, we've made 3,200 calls to people who are in isolation, who just need someone to have a yarn to. We've made solar lights for our communities in Papua New Guinea who can't afford the things that we just take for granted. Flick a light, flick a switch, and there's your light on. These kids don't even have lights to do homework of a night time. So we make these little solar lights. We've made thousands of them, and we send up to Papua New Guinea. Some of our really talented people make prosthetic limbs for people who live in countries where there are mines and they've had arms and legs and hands blown off because they work in areas that are dangerous and mine these underground explosions and they lose limbs. We do Meals on Wheels. We've got a soup kitchen. All of the things that you can think of, we're probably at it. Under 8's Day, NAIDOC Week. We go to the local shows. So we're very, very active in community. Community is a big part of what we do. Then I said customers, community, and there's something else we do. What was the third thing? The planet. Again, you're going to say, that seems like it's a fair stretch again. Doing things for the planet. Aren't you just digging great big holes in the ground and big long trenches and getting gas out of the ground? You make a whole lot of money out of that. How are you helping the planet? We are right into renewable energy as well. We're heavily investing in solar and wind, hydrogen. So we're looking at all these other opportunities as well. What we try to do in the field is, yes, we go out and we certainly dig holes in the ground and we dig these trenches and we have lots of activity and lots of drilling rigs across the field. But what we try to do at the end of it is reduce our footprint. It may not look the same when we leave, it may actually look better. But we're just trying to reduce our footprint. Because don't forget, we live in this planet as well. So every day, as I said, all those Origin people go to work to get energy right for our customers, community and the planet. So this company that you're thinking about putting an application in for, to get one of our traineeships and apprenticeships, is such a broad company in what we do. I'm really proud to work in this industry. As I said, I was a teacher for 21 years. Then I went to Santos and across to Origin. And I'm really proud to work in this industry because of the great things that we do, how we put back into our communities and customers and our planet as well. I know I don't have a lot of time to talk to you, but these are a few of the facts that we've got in our across the Surat Basin. We operate 13 gas-producing processing facilities, 2,300 kilometres of gathering pipeline, and that's a lot of jobs when you think about that. 24 gas transmission pipelines, that's 530 kilometres, 2 pipeline compressor facilities, and 4 water treatment plants. And they're busy places. You can go out into our field and they're quite busy places. So congratulations on considering a career in our industry because it's an exciting career. One of the things that many, many years ago, my grandfather told me, and it's always stayed with me, it's always resonated with me. And he said this, he was a farmer from south of Roma, we had sheep and cattle. And he said to me one day, he said, unless you're the lead dog, the view doesn't change. So think about that. Unless you're the lead dog. So it really doesn't matter whether you become an Origin apprentice or trainee, whether you work in childcare, or whether you become a baker, butcher, a baker, or candlestick maker, whether you become an Origin apprentice or trainee, you work in a role that I work in, be the best at it. Because as I said, unless you're the lead dog, the view doesn't change. And when you're the best at something, as I said, it doesn't matter what you're doing, making bread, making rockets to go to the moon, somebody is going to notice. So always think about that. Whatever you're doing, wherever you do it, and how often you do it, make sure that you are the very, very best at it, because somebody will notice that. I think that is about all I had to say to you. Are there any questions that you would like to ask of me? People often say to me, gee, well, why didn't you stick at being a teacher? Because, you know, you'd had a job for life. And I've just taken some photos of some of my old books down the back there. Yeah, I would have had a job for life, and that's absolutely for sure. And this industry that we work in is quite dynamic, and every night we look at the oil price and we go, oil price is down a little bit, so it's really dynamic. But it's also really, really interesting. So diversity in our roles is something that we really aspire to every day. Yesterday, I was doing a safety management survey with our pipelines. The day before that, I was out talking to a landholder to make sure that what we're doing for him is right. Relationships are really important to us. Today, I'm talking to trainees and apprentices. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about something completely different. We're going to be doing something completely different. So diversity in our roles is a really great thing that we do. When I first joined Origin, one of the managers said to me, in Origin, if you want something bad enough, you're going to grow it from the ground up. And I thought, really? How do I do that? But if you've got an idea, or if you've got a concept, or if you've got a process, and you think this is really going to work, you start building it from the ground up. People will be watching, because remember, unless you're the lead dog, the view doesn't change. So you're starting to build this thing up from the ground, and people start taking interest. And before you know, you've got a whole heap of people on board with what you're doing. So, well done. I really hope we get lots of applications from people who are wanting to work in our industry. Absolutely thoroughly recommend it. You will enjoy it, you'll be supported, and you'll be challenged every day as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Maxine.
That's okay.
I've known Maxine for about 15 years. She's always been passionate.
Always been a talker.
Yeah, loves talking, that's for sure. No, good lady, and she's in a role that suits her perfectly well. Next, we'd like to invite Florence to come up and give you a bit of an idea about what it's like to work with energy at Origin.
Alrighty, thank you. Max, you're a hard act to follow. I don't think my public speaking skills are quite as good as that, but I'll give it a go. So I'm Florence. I've been with Origin for just shy of 6 months now. I'm a site administration person, so I'm based out at Spring Gully and work a one-on-one roster. Thoroughly enjoy it out there. It's such a challenge, varied day-to-day activities. So my role is anything administration-wise, so organising rosters, that type of thing, general admin stuff, bookings, flights, and that type of thing. So we might skip to the next slide, if that's all right. So there's 3 main assets that Origin runs within our basin here. So the first one being Condabri-Talinga-Arana asset. So the Condabri is based 15 minutes from Miles, so most of you are probably familiar with most of these, obviously being local. Talinga is 25 minutes from Chinchilla. Reedy Creek and Babula Peak asset is 25 minutes from Yulba, and then Spring Gully asset is 30-45 minutes from Roma. So that's where we're all based from that are out here today. Spring Gully asset. So there are 4 gas processing plants that are centrally or based from Spring Gully, so that being Taluna, Strathplain, Urumba Creek, and the Spring Gully gas processing plant. So our camp at Spring Gully is based, for those processing facilities and water treatment plants as well around that. So I'm based out at Spring Gully, and I'll just share a bit with you about the day-to-day sort of lifestyle that is Spring Gully, or the Gully as people call it. So a lot of people, when I first started there, refer to it as the Hilton of the camps. It is pretty flash. There's tennis courts, cricket nets, ovals, gyms, you name it, we've got it. So it has fantastic facilities. There's a permanent health lifestyle coordinator out at Spring Gully to get you motivated, doing exercise classes, bingo, anything like that. So that's wonderful recreation activity before and after work each day. The general day-to-day running, so we start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, finish at 5:30 generally. You get provided your breakfast, lunch and dinner. They're wonderful. Certainly, you don't have to know if you lose weight while you're at Spring Gully. Seems to go the other way. So that's all served in the mess hall. Grab your breakfast and then your lunch at breakfast. Take that with you for the day and you're good to go from there. Eggs Benny Sunday and Fish and Chip Friday are a big highlight out at site. And that also usually signals that you're halfway through as well once you hit an Eggs Benny Sunday. So, along with that, there's also a small shop out at site for any incidentals. If you need anything while you're there, it's pretty self-contained, which is fantastic. So there's always something happening at site. You can participate in as much or as little as you like out there. Everyone is wonderful in pushing you into stuff or guiding you through it. So the hours, I spoke about those, and I don't know if I can speak on behalf of everyone, but they just fly by. You think, oh God, 12-hour day, that must just drag out, but it really doesn't. Especially doing a one-on-one, sooner get there than it's time to go home again. So at present we're sort of sitting around 100 people out at site mark, which is a lot, but everyone is just so friendly. I sort of can't explain how nice everyone is. It's a wonderful environment to be at. It's sort of, I guess could honestly, hand on heart, say there's not someone I wouldn't sit down with out there and have a chat with. Everyone's just, wonderful, and it's made the transition to site so much easier. So there's a great sense of sort of family and community out there. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's away from home, family, friends, that sort of thing, and everyone just knits together so well and makes the time fly by. It operates 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's always something happening out in the field, out in the camp. It's just, very, very busy, but just so much fun. We also, many females here today, but we have quite a few women out at site, and on that sort of aspect of it, I wouldn't, if anyone's hesitant about joining, I couldn't recommend it more. I've just slotted in so well, and I'm sure everyone else would. So, if you're considering it, absolutely jump in. I couldn't recommend working for Origin more. So I think that sort of covers that, unless anyone has any questions.
Is there Wi-Fi?
Yes, there's plenty of Wi-Fi, plenty of streaming. So no, perfect. And rooms have got TVs, bathrooms. It's all self-contained and very, very comfy. So home away from home.
It's pretty good coverage around the field as far as phones and
Yes,
that sort of stuff goes. And you're talking about Wi-Fi, but like our vehicles are like remote Wi-Fi is connected to our work as we go along, so it's pretty good in the tech sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very advanced. Well, I think it is. Maybe I'm a bit old, but very, very tech savvy out there. So, which is great. Got all the mod cons you could sort of want, which is wonderful. So,
what's the apprentice? So you got the apprenticeships. Is that 7?
7 on, 7 off.
I think we'll cover that in a second.
I was going to say that. I don't know if that's more Scott's area, but So 7 and 7, which is what I work. But generally speaking, most people run a 2 and 2, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off shift. But I'm sure someone else will cover that in their little spiel. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll keep moving along and touch on the actual opportunities that are available in this 2021 intake. So, 5 different types of apprenticeships and traineeships. Thought we'd just have a quick run through so people have got a bit of an idea about what each one of them is. Electrical instrumentation and control apprenticeship. It's what's called a dual trade apprenticeship. Highly desirable, 5-year duration for this apprenticeship. You do a Certificate 3 in Electro Technology as well as a Certificate 3 in Instrumentation and Control. It's like learning all the stuff about becoming an electrician and then so much more. Okay, and we've got one of the apprentices that are currently doing the apprenticeship at the moment to come along tonight as well to help explain what that one's all about. But you're fault finding not only the electrical systems but also the control mechanisms for the plants. So it'll be good to hear from Abe about how that all goes. Mechanical fitting, most people know it as diesel fitting. So you're working on a range of different machinery and equipment. It's got a 4-year maximum duration. The Certificate 3 in Engineering Mechanical Trade is the actual name of the qualification that somebody undertakes to become a diesel fitter. And you'll work on a range of different equipment, and we'll touch on this as well during the talks in just a few minutes. Using a range of tools and equipment. Very exciting sort of opportunity. Process plant operations traineeships. So this is a traineeship. It's a 2-year traineeship. Certificate 3 in process plant operations, as the slide says. And you work out there to make sure that all the production equipment keeps keeps operating, that the flow of the gas continues on. You help identify problems, supply solutions. You work with the other teams, of course, because nobody can go alone in an operation like the Origin operation. Well site operations traineeship, the fourth one in the five. 2-year duration. Well servicing operations certificate 3 is the qualification. Now, in an operation like Origin's, you know, with what they're dealing with, they have to work in accordance with permits. So it's all about making sure that everything's being done the right way out there on sites, okay? Maintaining those well servicing operations, working with machinery, tools and equipment, and responding to problems that occur out there on sites. And last but no means least, the telecommunications traineeship. Once again, it's another one of the 2-year qualifications, Certificate 3 in telecommunications technology. If you're somebody that likes, you know, IT equipment and the like, this would be right up your alley. Assessing telecommunication installation requirements, planning, performing installations, problem solving. Like any sort of job, things don't always go to plan, so you always got stuff to fix. Alright? But we'll touch on these different types of qualifications in just a moment, like I was saying. So, why don't we get one of the people who works on all this stuff up here to have a talk to everybody. Please welcome Scott Martin, who leads the mechanical team out there. You're at Spring Gully.
Spring Gully. I can't help you out too much with the electrical side of things, it's not our forte, but yeah, I've been up at, been with Origin now for 14 years. Started with them as a operator, and then had the opportunity and was offered an apprenticeship, mechanical apprenticeship, and now sort of worked our way through and worked out to where we are now. So the types of equipment we sort of work on is fairly wide and varied. A lot of Caterpillar engines there, ranging from the bigger girls up to 3612s with 12-cylinder 3600 series engines. 3516s, so 16-cylinder and 3500 series. 3412s and 3406s, so there's 6 and 12 cylinder machines for the 3400 series, and we get down to the smaller ones, which are the 3306s, and they all drive various different things, from generators through to bigger gas compressors, and we move over to the field-based stuff where we have Cummins engines driving hydraulic pumps, which then drive hydraulic motors, which drive downhole pumps. And then, also we have a lot of auxiliary equipment, which are bigger sort of air compressors, a variety of different pumps, varying from diaphragm pumps to positive displacement pumps with triplex plunger pumps. So we've got a fair range and variety out there. Some of the other sites don't have quite the different type of equipment, but we've probably got, to our benefit or detriment, whichever way you want to look at it, quite a variety, which I like because of that. You're not stuck on the same thing every day. So a typical day, arrive to our offices, we sign in to say we're clear and fit for work. Pre-COVID we used to blow a machine for alcohol testing, but these days that's sort of off limits to try and reduce our germ spread. But we still do have our random starts at toolboxes, so at 6 o'clock we head off to our toolboxes in our individual work groups, discuss our work for the day, update any changes that may have happened overnight due to breakdowns with machinery and that sort of stuff, and get our work sorted out from there, and then from there discuss our safety reports from overnight as well, and that report comes on all sides, so there's a good sharing there. And then we sort of go through our toolboxes, then go through our safety. Another safety step is to identify our highest risk, generally our highest risk of the day, and cover that from input from the whole team rather than just the people working on it. So from there on in, would have already developed our JCOs, which is our job safety and environment assessment or analysing piece of kit, and that way we control it, identify our hazards, control it and put controls in place. And we had to go to stores, pick up parts and off to our job. And sort of, and that job can sort of be anywhere from the plants, the gas plants themselves, which push the gas out into the main transmission lines. And that's a fairly, in the compressor shed, there's a fairly noisy environment where you basically have to step out to be able to communicate with each other, but we have all the necessary PPE and that sort of stuff, so we minimise our potential exposure to that. Then you go out in the field, you can be out in the field with the hydropacks, which is the Cummins machines. And you can be sitting on top of a beautiful hill looking over escarpments. It's like you're the only one there. So it depends on what your appetite is. I know where I'd rather be, but on top of the hill, but that's pretty good. So depending on how long your job is tasked for, some only half days and some can go for a couple of days, but towards the end of the day you make your way back to the office there and prepare for the next day if your job's already completed, or then just discuss amongst your work group how things went for the day, and sort of bring up any, if you're having troubles with something, you sort of bring it up within the team, suggestions if you're having trouble with it, and try and nut it out from there. You don't have to wait till the end of the day to nut things out, because we've got pretty good communications up there with mobiles and through radios. Then knock off for the day, and it's up to you what you do that night, whether you want to blow some stuff out of your system, go to exercise, or go watch a bit of telly, have a feed, and knock off for the day. And that's sort of basically it. And so that's a similar sort of thing for all our different work groups, for the electricals and the mechanicals and the ops teams. So, any questions? Got me one thing, Joel?
How important is safety?
It's their number one. Like production's up there, but our safety's first. Like, we don't have any problems if someone's got any concerns there to actually stop what they're doing and pull back and ask questions, so to make it safe, to make it safer, or to actually stop the job altogether and work out a plan forward so we can continue safely. There's no question there. Yes, thanks, Bo. Okay, Joe.
What's it like working a rostered shift?
It's something I've done for me. I did prior to working at Origin too, but it's. I like it. It gives you an opportunity to dive into projects that you really get into on your break. I myself got a bit of country to sort of run a few cows and calves and this sort of stuff, so come home and look up, or they basically look after me, but I do a little bit to try and make their life as comfortable as possible, but that's something I like doing. And I know people in our group anyway, they've got project cars and other sort of things at home to sort of tinker with when they feel like it. Anyone?
As a apprentice, are you, like when we're doing our apprenticeship, are you more based in a workshop or mobile?
No, it's all mobile. We actually don't do a great deal of workshop work as such. We do occasionally, but it's sort of, most of it's out on machinery, out in the plants or in the field. And we've got a pretty good group of people up there, guys and girls, and there's no problems there. If you've got a question, there's no such thing as a silly one. Yeah. You always ask.
So you enjoy the roster cycle, and what's it like on site? You enjoy the site? Florence certainly talks really positively about it.
No, I've got nothing good things to say about it either. It's like camp life may not be for everyone, but once you get into the flow of it, it's pretty good. What was the other? Oh, there were,
No, that's about it, I think.
there's something I brought up the other session, I can't remember what it is now, along those lines. But yeah, there will be times you will miss out on stuff that your mates and that, like parties and whatever else and back in town, but if you've got enough notice about that sort of stuff, you can, Origin's got a fairly flexible working arrangement, so if you need that day or weekend off, if you've got enough time to give that notice, well, you can organise stuff to have that time off. And Origin have generally been pretty good like that. Sporting things too, like I've been involved in touch in town here for mixed and men's and men's and ladies. And that sort of thing. You're floating in the other teams that most of the people don't seem to mind that too much. Back in the younger day, I used to play a bit of footy out here too, so it used to be able to slide in and out when we came back. So the sporting side of things, you don't miss out totally, but you don't get it all either.
All right, any other questions for Scott? Nothing else, Joel? No? All good at the moment? All right.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. So you've heard it from the guy who's running the show in the mechanical side of things. How about we get a couple of the apprentices up here who can tell us about how they find doing their apprenticeships with Origin. Come on up, David. Abe. All right, maybe we can start by letting the guys know about what you're doing and what year you're up to in your apprenticeships.
Yep. So I'm halfway through my second year, and variety work. It's never the same. Each day isn't the same. So out in the field or out in the plant, it's getting around.
Yep. And Scott's your lead.
Yes.
Yep. Out there in the field doing the diesel fitting.
Mechanical fitting.
Yep. Okay, so, and what about the training side of things?
I would do 2 2-week blocks a year. I've got one coming up at the moment, and it's usually start and end. Depending on how your training goes, you can add in more throughout the year, and talk to TAFE and talk to you guys and Origin about that. But usually it's just 2 blocks per year.
Okay, beautiful. And Abe, what about yourself?
I'm 8 months into my apprenticeship, started in January, and do electrical instrumentation. Not many people know about instrumentation as such, but it's a lot of the transmitters, pressure calibration systems in the gas company around the field and in the gas compression sites. So it's a lot of you could say high, how do you word it? It's a lot more mentally demanding than just your basic electrician. There's a lot more calibrations to go into it.
Yeah, so you think you enjoy the apprenticeship that you're doing more than you would if you were doing a standard electrical apprenticeship in town, with PowerPoints and that sort of stuff?
Definitely, yeah.
Yep.
Gives you a lot more pathways to go out with as well. You have 2 certificates in a trade that are very sought after, so yeah, it's good.
And so you're part of the 2020 intake,
Yep.
that would be? Yep. And would you go to school locally here in Roma?
Yeah, I went to school in St John's here.
Yeah, okay, right. No regrets about taking up the apprenticeship with Origin?
No, none at all.
Okay.
It's only been good things so far, so yeah, loving it.
Okay, beautiful. And your training, how does that work for you?
So I get allocated blocks per year, so I just come back from a 3-week block of my dual trade, so I did electrical, and I'll go back and do more electrical and a week of instrumentation in November. Yeah, they just give me blocks once a year, every year.
Yep, okay. And where do you go for that?
I go to Kingaroy.
Yep.
That's where we've been sent to.
Yep, good.
It's a good
And David, where do you go? For your
Kingaroy as
college?
well.
Kingaroy as well. Okay, great. What's camp life like for you guys out there? You're both at Spring Gully?
Yeah, both up at Spring Gully.
Yeah.
So I do a 2-on-2 roster as well, and I quite enjoy it. You know, it was something different coming straight out of school, jumping into that. But once you get into the swing of things, it gets pretty good. Enjoy it after all. The 2 weeks off gives you plenty of time to muck around with your cars or sport or whatever you guys are into. So yeah, no, I enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. It's good structure, like you get into the system, once you get out there and just kind of go through it, it's quite easy.
Yep, and I suppose you've got to hit the sack not too late in the night because you've got a 6 o'clock start in the mornings,
Yeah,
long days.
usually pretty early night.
Yeah. You don't stay up playing bingo too late?
No,
No?
maybe every now and then, but not usually.
Yeah, something to do after, what is it, Fish Friday? Is that what it was?
Friday.
Fish and Chip Friday. Anything else you'd like to tell the group about, your apprenticeship or anything else about how you find working with Origin?
Well, I have, in my experience, I've had nothing but support from the Origin guys. Any questions I had, they were very helpful through my training process. They, always there, making sure you're all sorted out with that. And out in the field, out in the plant, they're always looking out for you, the guys out there. So yeah, I don't have any bad words about them. So, yeah.
They support you financially as well, finding a way to take, cover all costs for your studies and everything, and if you want to go for any extra stuff that could help your job, they'll support you with that as well.
Okay, good. And we talked about safety before, so all of your personal protective equipment, that's all supplied, anything you could want? Yep.
It's all not so much laid out in front of you, but you've got plenty of access to it if you do need it. So
Okay, great.
Uniforms all supplied as well. Uniform, winter uniforms and everything like that.
Okay, beautiful. Any questions from the attendees here today about the guys? Look, they're living what you guys might be looking to move into, so it'd be a great opportunity to fire any questions at them about how they found it. No, nothing at the moment. Joel's got something, I can sense it.
Any advice you'd give any prospective candidates thinking about applying, what they should consider maybe throughout the process?
Just give it your best shot. Like, I don't know, don't withhold anything that you want to do. Just in the interviews, tell them everything, but be confident and everything like that. They want someone who's going to be able to talk to people and communicate with other people in a group, so yeah.
Just lost my train of thought there. No, it's recruitment process is pretty good. It's pretty straightforward. It takes its time, but most things do when you apply for a new job. So just always put your best foot forward. Make your resume. Make sure you include everything in it. So coming out of school, you don't have much to put on it, but your hobbies, interests. If you work on a farm or something like that, make sure you put that down because you're exposed to machinery if you're going for a mechanical fitting job. So make sure you put down your interests, your hobbies. Just make sure you put your best foot forward.
What sort of things did you have to do during your interview, though?
So there was a couple of interviews I went through. So the first one I went through was a phone interview. They just asked a few questions. Then you went on to a practical assessment where you're in a bit of a group and they divide you up. You go to a few different little tasks, just competency assessment, a few team building tasks. And then once you go through that, there's a final interview after that. That's the one that counts. So make sure you get that one right. And after that, there's a medical assessment if you make it through that. And it's just your fitness check, alcohol, drug test, and they get you to do a few push-ups and weights and whatnot just to make sure you're right for the job. Respiratory test. Then after that, yeah, you're pretty well, once you get to that medical, you're pretty well right. They make you an offer and away you go.
So is that all through Origin or through the group training you guys apply straight on? Is it the same sort of thing as?
Yeah, so same sort of thing as the Golden West. And yeah, it was sort of in conjunction with Origin and MyGas. So your first interview was with MyGas themselves, and then second was a combined effort as well as the practical assessment.
Yeah, so MyGas has worked with Origin in the past and is still working with Origin in the Western Downs region. We've been given the opportunity to look after the Maranoa, apprenticeship and traineeship opportunities this year. So we've worked with the team at Origin to develop the pathway, and we'll take you through that journey, but it's not dissimilar to the way the guys talked about it just now. It's interviews, it's assessments, making sure people can work together, good communication skills like the guys are saying. Then the medicals with the people who have been shortlisted and we're seriously looking at making offers to. So if they get through that final step, written offers would be provided, and looking at a start date of January 2021 once everyone comes back from Christmas. Yeah, but I'll take you through that slide and just show you how that works very shortly. Now I'd like to take you through what we call the journey. Gaining an apprenticeship or traineeship with Origin is highly competitive and incorporates a number of steps over a number of weeks. The recruitment and selection process for these opportunities will follow the following format. Applications for the roles opened on Monday the 3rd of August, and they'll close on Friday the 4th of September. Applicants will be shortlisted for a first round of interviews with Golden West Apprenticeships. Applicants interviewed in the first round and shortlisted to be presented to Origin for the second round of interviews will undertake industry-relevant aptitude assessments. A second round of interviews will be held with Origin for candidates who progress to the next round. And if necessary, candidates will be invited to attend an assessment centre conducted by Origin and Golden West, where we will participate in activities and assessments with the candidates. Shortlisted candidates will be required to undertake a medical assessment prior to final offers being made. These will be organised and paid for you, and you'll be advised accordingly. The medicals will include drug and alcohol testing. Offers of employment will be made to the successful candidates in late October, and commencement in the roles will occur in January 2021. There are a wide range of career pathways within Origin, and they include direct entry into roles such as administration, IT, land management and operator positions. From these roles you can move into supervisory or team leader roles. Apprenticeships and traineeships into roles such as those that are available through the 2021 Origin intake, and these roles can lead you into supervisor and team leader roles also. It's also possible to move between direct entry roles and the apprenticeship traineeship roles and vice versa. There's also internships and graduate entry programs into professional roles such as engineers, accountants and legal roles, where once again you can progress into management roles. And there is of course also the ability to go on to further studies through each of these pathways. So we've spoken about who Golden West and Origin are, what it's like to work with Origin, and the opportunities that are available through the 2021 Origin Apprentice and Trainee Intake. So we should let you know how you can actually apply for these roles. You'll need to go to Golden West Apprenticeship's website, goldenwest.org.au, where you'll find a banner on the homepage that takes you to all of the relevant information and provides a link to the registration and application section. After undertaking the registration process, you'll be able to apply for the role or roles of your choice. Now that concludes the formal presentation about the 2021 Origin Apprentice and Trainee Intake in the Maranoa. Before we wrap up the information session, we'd like to extend the opportunity for any questions you may have, whether that be about the opportunities available, Origin, Golden West Apprenticeships, or any other questions you may have. Thanks very much for your time today.